Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with another deck profile. So this time I'll be doing the Paladin deck profile. So this is the Spectral Duke build that I have shown like few days ago in the fight video. And the content is still the same. I haven't made any changes to it because I think it's good enough. But of course, there are also other cards that you can look for to make it better, or some changes that if you prefer you can still do that, but I'm going to show you what I built. So starting Vanguard, using the old line, but nothing special, just a little spoiler, no ASL in here, so just don't expect it. And then starting with our Grey Freeze, of course, 4 of the Spectral Duke Dragon. So this card is quite interesting, and of course it's one of our old friends. So he do have a few skills, and the first one is if your soul has a grade 2 Voltima, this card will get 1000 power permanent, so he can become a 13k Vanguard on your turn and your opponent's turn. And if your opponent's is grade 3 or higher, you will get one crit. So very simple to just give pressure to your opponents, and because he's 13k, he can basically just hit 4th Vanguards unless they go above 13k, like 14k or so, but usually that won't happen unless they go to grade 4, which is not likely the case in the current meta. So at first I do like have a thought of why you just give this guy like 1000 power for both turns, but not giving him a 10k power when he used the second skill. But after playtesting, I think it's kind of okay, but of course if we can get 10k, we prefer 10k. And then the second skill is a Vanguard skill. Once per turn after battle ends, counter last one and retire 3 of your regards. Then you can stand this unit. During the turn, this unit will get -1 drive, but if your damage is 4 or more, then instead of -1 drive, he actually gains 1 drive. So like the most ideal situation is you have your Voltima so that you get the crit, you get the 1k extra, and then after you swing with a twin drive, and then you restand him to do a triple drive. And hopefully from there you can get some triggers that can help you basically pass whatever you need. But this really makes the deck quite strong with the restanding skill, because you of course he has crit, so every damage that he's going to give you is at least 2. And like if you just get a trigger when your first attack with the twin drive, even if your opponent say 2 pass, you can still restand for a triple drive to give them more pressure, and you don't need to worry about wasting trigger effects on your first attack by giving triggers to the Vanguard and hope for a 2 pass. If you can 2 pass, of course, better. If you can't, after restand you still get all those effects. So I don't see that as a waste, and your opponents probably will just need to give you more resources in order to basically guard everything. Yeah. So next, running 2 of the Panador. So this is another of our old friend, is from EV03, so basically the first time Paladin came out with ASO, which is a very interesting card, because you can basically rewrite on him, using him, even though he -1 drive. The requirement is this card needs to be in your hand, and if your opponent's if your regards attack hits a Grade 3 Vanguard. So it's not that hard, given that you do have like 3 to 5 drives with Spectral Dukes, and your opponents will need to guard very hardly because your Spectral Dukes had 2 crits. Then you can simply, one way, of course, like what I said before, put up power to your Spectral Dukes and just keep swinging, or you can focus your power to your regards. If you have a Panador in hand, do your 3 drive, 5 drives with that, and just try to basically use this card to rewrite again. So the most ideal situation is you can attack 2 times with Spectral Dukes, attack with your regard, and then superior into Panador and attack again. So you can maximum do a 3 times Vanguard attacks most of the situations. Because your Spectral Dukes eats your board, so it's quite hard to do it once again. So don't bother, and it costs you 1 counterblast, 3 soul blast. So once you do that, it's a little bit hard for you to go back to Spectral Dukes, even though that content can actually help you build up your Spectral Duke power back again. But usually when you do this superior ride, is you need 1 more attack to go through, then here's here. And then I'm running one of the Sacred Maul just to help me build my board, because Spectral Dukes eats our board. So a basic Soul Blast to get yourself a card and call them out sometimes help, because if you have no resources, when you draw a Sacred Maul, you at least can call it out, Soul Blast 1, and call that unit out. So you do kind of have some kind of a drawing power, but of course you still need to call that unit out from hand, whatever you have from hand. Don't have to be the card you draw, but still you don't actually gain a card in your hand, but you gain a card on the board by Soul Blasting 1. So that's one reason why I like to use Sacred Maul. But if you do want to maximize your chances of gambling, you can even turn this into a Panador. Or if you don't like the Panador line and Sacred Maul, you can even try the Percival routes if you want to. But since I'm only using my old resources, which is basically the first ASO set with Sacred Maul with Panador, and on top of that adding Spectral Duke, so you won't be able to see any parts relating to the GreatOne set, basically. Then entering Grade 2s. First, of course, since we are running Spectral Dukes, we need 4 of the Fatima Grade 2. So if you do have a GreatOne Fatima, this card will become a 10k no matter on Vanguard and Regard Circle. So this is big. Making it a 10k Regard is really helpful, because if you are facing a Force Cleanse and you want to do some early rush, that's what you need. And then when this card is being retired by card effects from Regard Circle, put this card into your soul and counter charge 1. So your Spectral Dukes requires you to do the counter blast, and once you eat a Fatima, you pay the counter blast and you can get that back. And also you get Fatima into your soul, so you can do your Soul Blast combo, and you can simply just have your Spectral Dukes become 13k with crit. As long as your opponent is on grade 3, you get the crit, and no matter what, you will get the 1k. So you don't have to ride him. Even if you misride him, you can still somehow get this card into your soul. So really good to have Spectral Dukes, and not like when we play the old ride chains, if we miss it, we just lose everything. No, now you can simply just put them into your soul, so that you can still have full effects for the Spectral Dukes. And then the first skill is when your Spectral Duke ride on top of this card, look at the top 5 cards of the deck and call up to 2 cards to Regard Circle and shuffle your deck. So this basically is like the old skill when you do the ride chain, and helps you fill the board so that you have enough pieces to eat with your Spectral Dukes. This provides you 2 maximum, and you just need to call extra 1 out, then you are set to restand with your Spectral Dukes. And then I'm running 4 of the Lobby Shooter. So this is an interesting card, and it's kind of like Panador. This card, when in hand, if a grade 2 or higher Vanguard attack battle ends by counterblasting one, you can call this unit out and get it 5k plus. Even though the Spectral Duke's restand skill is once per turn, so that you basically cannot spam an extra board and eat again and stand again. But since you are eating your own board, and most likely you will need to eat up 1 to 2 front row units, so your front row will be empty somehow, not exactly completely empty, but you're still missing some units. And when you swing again, if you don't have your front row units to give extra power to, then your opponents will just PG it, and then your triggers will be wasted. Which, if you use a Lobby Shooter, at least the first time your trigger effects can go to your Vanguard, and after that you restand and you superior call a Lobby Shooter, and then from the next drive checks you can basically give all the power to the shooter. So you can still try to gain more power from there, and after that, if this called and you put the power there and hits, and if you still have a Panador, then you can do your Panador play and also superior into the Panador, which, since we will most likely get an XL2, we will get extra cards, and maybe you will still get more shooter. And after swing, and say your opponent is like really nearly dead, and they use up all the resources and they can't basically survive a 19k attack, then you can still counterblast one and call another one, because it's not once per turn. As long as you have this card in hand, you can even call multiple copies to expand your board. Then you can still do a sudden strike if you need to. So this deck involves a lot of multiple attacking if you manage well, and it's not a must. Just keep them in hand. You can use them to guard if you want to, if you need to, but if you do want some extra push, they're there. And speaking of building your board, of course we do have our Kaiden. So very simple, kind of also discard a card to look at top 3 and call 1, shuffle your deck, and if you have a whole you draw a card. So you don't kind of lose too much, just a counterblast, and your Fatima is going to help you to countercharge that once you get into the Spectral Duke chain and start eating your own stuff. But building your board is very important, and usually you still have some cards that you like don't want to keep them in hand, or you prefer to be more aggressive, then you can use those cards as a cost to combo units. So entering GreatOne, and of course we are running 4 of the GreatOne Fatima. So first skill is when he appears on Vanguard Circle, look at top 7, search for a Grade 2 Fatima or a Spectral Duke Dragon, add to your hand and shuffle your deck. So basically like the right chain, but you don't require a Grade 0 in order to use that effect, so it's very nice. And being able to pick up your Grade 2 if you have a Grade 3, pick up a Grade 3 if you have a Grade 2 is really helpful, so that you can keep the chain, make sure you do have your board, and make sure your Spectral Duke can be a little stronger. That's what we need the most. And he also got a similar skill to the Grade 2 Fatima when being retired from Vanguard Circle by card effects, by your own card effects. You put that into the soul, but this time you give your Vanguard a 5k power. So if you do have multiple, of course the power will just getting more and more, and kind of help your Spectral Dukes to at least reaching 18k by restanding without triggers. So it's still kind of helpful, because usually, like if you have 13k and your opponent is 13k, they can just save 15 guard and save for 2 pass. But after you restand and give your Spectral Duke extra 5k, then 15k now is just one trigger, so they will need to give you more. So this little part up sometimes ruins the game, and it's very important if you do know the little power difference that can ruin the calculations, that can ruin guard, that will lead you to victory. And since we have been talking about Kaiden, of course we have a Howell. So basically they are just a pair, so nothing too much to say, but this card can help you gain power on the units that you call with on the same line with him. If you do have the Kaiden, instead of 5k will become a 10k. So usually you just place it on left or right back row rearguard circle, if you ask me, just to make my rearguards attack a lot stronger without triggers, so I can just focus the triggers on my Vanguard or maybe on my shooter, then I can do something bigger. And then this two of the Befok. So this is a newer card from EV10, but it's a common, so I don't think it's too hard for you to obtain. So far, most of the cards that you see here, except this, and this, you can find them in the clan selection, so I think it's kind of easy to build. And Panador is not expensive at all. Lobby shooter is just rare, it's not that expensive at all. Secret mode depends on places. I think in Japanese market it did goes up a little bit, but now with we are entering the era, I think secret mode won't be that expensive at all. So, and it's a double rare, so it won't be too hard for you to find, and this is just a common. Yeah, so what this card does is what you want to do is to try pump call 4 units, call 4 times, so that you don't need to rest her when you boost, and you place her behind Spectral Duke, so at least your Spectral Dukes can do a 23k swing 2 times without trigger. So that's basically her uses. And then 4 of the Dindrin, you can also find her in the clan selection. So again, what you need outside of clan selection is your Sunlight Vanguard, which you can obtain anywhere. Rares that I think you can obtain anywhere. Panador, I think a lot of people are willing to sell them anyway. Secret mode, a little bit harder again, but I don't think it's that hard for now. And this is just common. And after that will be some triggers. You do have your draw PGs, and the rest of them are just common, so I don't think it's too hard to actually build a deck, even if you kind of want to play Spectral Duke and want to spend some little money to build this deck. I think this route is a very easy and good way for you. But going back to Dindrin, helps you counter charge or get you extra draw, depends on what you need. And since you are eating your own Photimas to put them into your soul, so you always do have extra souls, so that won't hurt you too much. But as long as you don't soul blast all of your grade 2 Photima, I think you're fine. So entering the triggers, what I did is something simple. I go 8 crits, 4 of the draw PGs, which you can also find in clan selection, and 4 heals. So very basic lineup, and focus on giving damage as early as possible, giving them as much as possible. I first was thinking about using fronts as well, but then once I do playtest it out a little bit with 8 crits, I think it's a better idea, because I always eat my front row units, usually like 2, because I only have like 1 extra 2 circle, so I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Riga circles, and one of them will be my Bifok that I don't want to eat at all, because as long as I can call for, she can be a 10k, no need to rest booster for my Vanguard, so I don't want to eat her. And my great ones usually will have a OL, so I don't want to eat that because I want to pump my power. Then what I have left is one of the back row and 3 of my front row. And then I do want to keep one front row to put all my triggers too, if I like 2 of my attacks won't be able to hit, or even if they hit, I still want the power to go somewhere else in case my opponents heal or they are not dead yet and I still need to push them. That means I can only eat 2 front rows and 1 back row. And if I get a front triggers there, I'm going to eat 2 of my front row units, and if I don't have a shooter, then basically the front triggers is just like a crit trigger. Because after my second attacks and my Vanguard will not restand again, and those power, no matter how many extra 10Ks that I'm getting, is still useless. So I prefer to get crits so that my opponents will fear my Vanguard attacks. Like if they are on free, if they know I don't have crit triggers, then they will just take it. But if they know I have crit triggers, they need to guard it. So that's what approach that I take, and I feel like it. So I think that can help you as well, hopefully. Also, again, as I keep promoting about this deck, is it's not expensive, because you as long as you find your split with your Gold Paladin, you have most of the stuff, and you just need to find some triggers, find your Backfolk, find some Panador, and some shooter, a starter, a second mode. But if you really can't find a second mode, you can simply just put in like a another Panador, or other Great Freeze that are from the Agrafel sets that can help you call the board again. Or even the worst case that you even can't find those stuff, you can still use like this Great Free, helps you to call something from your hand. But of course, if you do have other choices, then you can go for that. Yeah, so that's basically that. Or even if you just want to chuck in a Galmo for fun, that's also possible. But for at this moment, I don't think it's needed. If you can just simply follow the list, it shouldn't cost you too much. Yeah. So that's basically the list, and I hope it's clear. Because what you do is try to build up your board, keep using your hands to switch into your board, and keep drawing cards, keep getting cards. Then just do your Vanguard swings and plan carefully for your shooter to do some sudden strike, so that you don't just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks. You can at least have like 6 or maybe 7 attacks, and if lucky, lead to a Panador to do a third Vanguard attack, so that you can just keep swinging for more, and see if you can win there. Yeah, so I don't think I need to do any extra like combo explanation, because it really depends on what you draw. It's a little bit playstyle like Highlander. You play whatever, depends on what you draw. No specific routes. But if you do have a Backfolk, put it behind your Vanguard. If you do have your shooter, play it carefully. Don't just spam them on the board, and like if they can't even hit anything, don't try to do that unless you really need to gamble. But no, if not, I'd rather save it in hand and play whenever I need. Second mode, you can just simply play out and just exchange for another card, which can help you out, and try to get your right chains. And that's probably it, because these only help you to build up your board. This help you gain some power, so nothing too special, but just don't put it behind your Vanguard, because you want your Bedford to be behind your Vanguard. And I think you are set. That's all. Of course, if you do have other questions that you want to ask, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will help you out with some answers. Yeah, that's basically it for this deck profile. Feel free to comment and let me know your questions, or maybe your own build. But of course, if you are like using Percival and some other stuff and expect me to use it, I probably won't, because we are entering this series, so I'm not going to update like new cards with gold Paladin, so you don't even see a Great Research right here, and I don't see a need to, because I can simply build up my board. I can have some draw power, I have a searches, so I don't really need Great Researchers, and this will help you lower the cost of building a deck anyway. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next fight or deck profile video. Signing off.